Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer, will be on the call. Western Conference Finals between the Nuggets and the Lakers. Tips off Friday night at 9 Eastern on TNT. Reggie joining us from his crib. You got to throw away all your notes there for the Western Conference Finals.
Wait a minute. It's not the Lakers and Clippers? Wait a minute. Did something happen? What happened last night?
I think the Clippers are saying the same thing. What did happen last night?
Look, before we get into the Clippers bashing, which it's been plentiful because of their performance in this series, really in the restart, let's give a lot of credit to Michael Malone and the Denver Nuggets. They were the better team. They didn't have, now people are gonna be like, what are you talking about, the better team? No, the Clippers had the better assortment of talent. You had a two-time finals MVP in Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams, a three-time six-man year winner. Montrezl Harrell won it this year. And let's not forget, last year, Paul George finished third in MVP voting. So they had the better collection of individual talent. The better team was Michael Malone and the Denver Nuggets, and Jokic was the best player in this series over those four guys I just mentioned for the Clippers. So let's give them a lot of love. Now let's get to the Clippers. Because I'm more upset with the post game and the comments than the actual series.
Okay,
because now all of a sudden there was division. We weren't unified. We weren't together. Where was all this before? Why does everything need to come out after you're exiting the bubble?
And then
right?
Paul George had this to say. This is what got to me.
It's obvious pressure, to live up to the title expectations. But as a player, I mean, you want that. Like, you want that. Again, it's the first time I've been in that situation where we're expected to win. But, it is what it is. It's no cop-out. Fact of the matter is we didn't live up to that expectation. But I think internally we've always felt this is not a championship or bust year for us.
What do you make of that, Reg?
Come on. It is number one, it is a cop-out. And you did have expectations while you were in Indiana when you were Batman, right? Everywhere else you've been, OKC, here in the Clippers, you've been Robin, which suits him probably better. When you were Batman in Indiana and you were going toe-to-toe with LeBron James and the Miami Heat, there were expectations for you to win. And you could have won that series. And you should have won. You did capture home court advantage versus the Heat. Now, they came into Indiana and won and recaptured it, but there were expectations for you to win in Indiana. So for you to say and sit back and say, we need to be together longer for us to win a championship, come on, man. It's a cop-out. The better team won, which was the Denver Nuggets, and your play, people ask, well, who's the blame? There's a lot of blame to go around. But if you're asking me, which I'm sure you are, Theodore, Paul George, Doc Rivers, and then probably Kawhi Leonard. All three of those guys got to take the brunt. Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams were absolutely terrible this whole restart. Now, I know they weren't together the whole time. Montrezl spent time away because of the passing of his grandmother. We all know about, Lou Will and Magic City and all that. Those are excuses. You still did not perform once you got back in the bubble because those two guys were terrible off the bench. And I thought those were going to be the two guys that were going to carry them, especially when Paul George and Kawhi had off nights. But when all four were terrible, they had zero shot.
Who do you think the Lakers wanted to face?
The Clippers. And here's the thing about the Clippers. They
wanted to face the Clippers?
Yes, because the Clippers, their whole campaign this season was dissing their crosstown rivals. It was all about the Lakers. It was all about diminishing their accomplishments. There was a new sheriff in town. So the Clippers' main focus, and they almost got away with it, Theodore. They almost got away with it by getting to the conference finals and facing them, was to diss the LA Lakers and make them Patrick Beverly, all them saying LeBron who, and we're the better team. There's a new sheriff in town, and they almost got away with it. They were up 3-1, one more game, and they would have got their wish. And I think I texted you. I would have been surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have got to the conference finals, because they only wanted to play the Lakers and beat LeBron and the Lakers to show everyone here in LA that there's a new sheriff in town, but they probably would have went on and lost the NBA finals because their whole focus was derided on one team, and that's the Lakers. And the Lakers wanted to be like, okay, bring it on. LeBron was back there waiting on them. We did our part. All right, we're waiting. Okay, come on, let's go. Let's get this going. And then they come out and they disappoint like that. So whatever's coming the Clippers' way, they deserve. I'm upset because on this show, numerous of times you have asked me, who was the better team? Who did I expect winning the West? And every time, what did I tell you? The Clippers. The Clippers had Kawhi, Paul George, better wing defenders, better defense. They've had a championship coach in Doc Rivers. And they laid an egg on national TV, shooting shots on the side of the backboard. Are you kidding me?
Are
you kidding me? That's your best effort in a Game 7.
How safe is Doc Rivers? How safe should he be?
Here's the question. Who is out there that would be better than Doc to come in?
Well,
now,
I don't
Doc
know.
has been down this road before, being up 3-1. I believe it's happened 2 previous times in his coaching stint that he's lost a 3-1 lead. But I don't know who could come in and replace him and be better.
But I want to know how attached are Kawhi and Paul George to Doc Rivers, because they become free agents after next season. They can opt out. I don't know if he's on the hot seat. Probably should be on a warm seat. Ty Lue might be the guy that you could bring in there and keep, because you got to keep those guys. If you don't keep those two guys, you have mortgaged your future for this year and next year to try to win a championship. And that's what they did. They went all in and traded all their draft picks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they got rid of him as well. You know, they got to keep those two guys and re-sign them.
Which is why Paul George comments are idiotic, that it's going to take time for us to build a championship team. No. We built this team to win this year today, right now. Not that, we've got to, go camping together, get around the campfire and sing some kumbaya and bring up, that chemistry. No, we were built to win this year. So don't be coming to me that now all of a sudden we're having chemistry problems and we need to work on ourselves. Come on, man, give me a break. Stop it.
Explain Jokic's greatness. Because when you watch, like we had a writer on last hour from the LA Times, Dan Woykin, he said it's like a beautiful glacier moving. Like he moves slow, but he always seems to accomplish what he's setting out to do, it feels like.
Well, and it's almost a perfect storm with him because at times he can be too unselfish. You would want him to be a little bit more aggressive. Here's the thing. He's always wanting to make the correct play. He's very reminiscent, and people are going to be like, you're crazy. He's like Magic. Magic wanted to feed everyone. Come, just run hard. I'll get you the basketball. His offense came a little bit later in terms of being aggressive. Magic. Jokic wants to feed all these guys, and he wants to make sure his guys are in the best light, in the best situation. And there's times where you want him to be more aggressive, but what makes him fabulous is, and I think Jeff Van Gundy was dead on. He can't see the double team coming because at 7 foot, he's too skilled of a passer. And there's only one other guy that I've ever seen make a pass that he did last night, the over the head, that I saw on numerous occasions in pickup games, was Magic Johnson. I mean, eyes in the back of your head. There's no one else I've ever seen do that pass. And it was all eye contact. He knew exactly where Jamal Murray was going, and it was a pinpoint pass. So we sleep on his greatness. I said this 5 times on the air when we were covering those series, he is the most skilled offensive big man in the game today, and I don't think it's even close.
Okay, but how do the Lakers match up with Denver?
I still look, this is the Lakers now, and I guarantee that probably what's going to happen, and we saw this from the Lakers in the first round versus Portland, in the second round versus Houston. They'll probably lay an egg in that first game and lose, and everyone's going to go all crazy. Oh my God, what's wrong with the Lakers? And they reeled off 4 straight games. They've been off a while. I'm sure they're probably a little bit complacent because they were envisioning, facing the Clippers. There'll probably be a letdown in game 1. I have the Lakers. 5 would be very disrespectful to Denver after what they've done in back-to-back being down 3-1s and coming back and winning. So I'll say 6 to be respectful to the Denver Nuggets.
Can you explain, and we're talking to Reggie Miller. Reggie will be on the call Friday night, the Game 1 Western Conference Finals, Nuggets and Lakers. Explain to me Kyle Kuzma, because he's an enigma. I don't know from game to game, quarter to quarter, half to half. Is he a great player, potentially a great player, or just potentially a good player?
Potentially a good player.
Okay.
On potentially a great Hall of Fame type team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. We call those people X factors, right, Theodore? When he's on, this Lakers team goes to a different level because they have that third level scorer. He has size at 6'10", can run the floor. And when he wants to play defense, he's not bad. But to me, if Rondo continues to play like he's playing, it's going to be lights out. We didn't see this at the restart for the Lakers and in those first couple rounds, especially in the first round. Rondo adds another layer because he's a championship point guard, and it takes the ball away from LeBron and allows him to roam free. And when he catches the pass and it's a dribble or two and he's at the rim, he's a different type of playmaker as opposed to always being the guy that has to facilitate. Rondo adds a different layer to the Lakers, which if he continues to play like this and make his three-point shot, it's lights out.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to hear the excuses that the Clippers have of chemistry, because the Lakers, they turned over their roster to bring in Anthony Davis. Rondo didn't start. He got hurt. Avery Bradley opted out. And you got some G League guys that are out there contributing on this team. And I haven't heard any chemistry issues with the Lakers. So I don't.
And by the way, a first-time coach, first-year coach in Frank Vogel. So I don't want to hear chemistry problems and, secretly things are going. I don't want to hear all that. People have found a way to make things work.
You want to jump on my Miami Heat bandwagon?
What do you mean? You and I are out. We're the same.
Are you in first class?
Both have the Heat.
Are you in first class?
Yes, I'm in first class with you. And in fact, I might be the pilot.
No, I'm the pilot.
I might be the pilot.
You're
the co-pilot. I'm the pilot.
I am the pilot. I am the pilot of the Miami Heat. I love watching them play, Reg. Out of all the NBA teams in the bubble, I loved Phoenix and I loved watching Miami.
And they always seem like they're never out of a game. They were down double digits in game 1 last night versus Boston, but they just chip away because, number one, toughness. Defense, which was on full display on that last play by Tatum and the block by Bam Bam.
Wow.
But they have shot makers. Jimmy Butler was kind of quiet, through 4 quarters, and he erupts. They've got rookies off the bench like Hero. Duncan's a young player who can stretch the floor with shooting. Goran Dragic, since being inserted into the starting lineup in these playoffs, let's not forget, he's an all-star player. So Eric Spoelstra knows exactly what buttons to push. I believe that series is going to go 7. That's going to go back and forth.
Yeah, probably so. Kemba Walker,
I
though,
like
right?
Miami.
Kemba Walker, liability at both ends.
Yeah. Well, as good as he is offensively, giving up that size to those guys, they always feel that they have a mismatch. And one thing Eric Spoelstra is going to do, and this is why he's a championship coach, he understands matchups and he knows how to exploit them. And this goes back to who runs the Miami Heat, and that's Pat Riley, because that's why Pat Riley is a Hall of Fame coach with the Lakers and the Knicks and Miami. He understands how to exploit a mismatch, And that's what we're going to see throughout this series.
Paulie, was it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I talked about Bam Adebayo. He was going to be a future All-Star?
Yeah, fall 2017.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in today's game, that's how the centers have to look.
Yeah.
Look at Jokic. Even though he's much taller than Bam, your center has to be able to stretch the floor and face the basket and shoot. Got to be a skilled passer, which Bam and Jokic are. Rebound, which both do. What was it? 22, 23 rebounds last night for Jokic in a triple-double. And you got to be able to defend. That's one thing that Bam has over Jokic, but he's improving.
Paulie, do you remember when Duncan Robinson was playing Division III basketball? And I said,
Williams College?
Yeah, and I said, I think I've seen one of the great shooters in the world.
2015, Dan.
2015. Yeah, and I can go back. Remember Tyler Hero, his sophomore year in high school? And I said, that dude can play, man.
You were calling him Harrow back then.
Yeah, I
but
know.
you didn't know.
I thought he was from Europe. I thought it was Harrow, not Hero. Harrow, Tyler Harrow. Well, have fun on Friday night there, Reg.
Thank you. I mean, look, I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed, especially, the LA fan base. They wanted to see the matchup that everyone's been talking about all year, especially with Kawhi and Paul George, in the Clippers. But don't go to sleep on Denver Nuggets. They are a fun, young team to watch. They're well coached with Michael Malone. And if they can get something out of Gary Harris, Jeremy Grant, Monte Morris, those others, and still get big performances from Jamal Murray and Jokic, this could be a fun series. Now, you know who else is happy that the Denver Nuggets are in the finals? JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, because they were relegated to the bench in that Houston series. Now that you've got Mason Plumlee and Jokic, two bigs for Denver, that puts Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee back in play.
Paul, you remember back, was it late 90s when LeBron was in high school?
Sophomore.
Yeah, sophomore. And I said, he could be in the NFL as a wide receiver, but I think he's going to be one of the great basketball players of all time. What year was that?
99.
99, yeah. We got it on tape, Reg. It's all.
Well, I hear you talking. I don't hear the tape going.
Well, we're trying to recall. ESPN kept all the tape. When I left ESPN, they kept all that good stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Reg.
You're the best, Theodore. Danettes, I love y'all. It's bubble time.
Yay. Reggie Aloysius Miller Jr. III.